Okay, we are live. I got to double check. It's hard for me to see that far. Awesome. Welcome, 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 everyone. We have amazing guest speakers today. The amazing Kim and Mikey. Uh, Indeed. Veteran warriors of the great apostate army.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Thank you for inviting us. I'm blushing because that was quite the intro.
We're not all that amazing.
Oh, we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
I mean, look,
Kim
if you
and
guys
Mikey,
really want to see just how amazing we are, my male dog stinks worse on the inside than he does on the outside. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So
indeed.
we're not all that amazing.
Well,
we're like everybody else. Go ahead.
Kim and Mikey has been an integral part of my personal awakening. Almost 7 years ago, when I decided, shaking in my boots, to research outside of jw.org, the first video that popped up was Kim and Mikey, of the part of my journey of getting the truth about the truth. And fortunately, Kimmy was first, and I totally related to Kimmy. Kimmy was just cool. I could listen to her, and then Mikey came on. Mikey scared the bejeebus out of me. I was like, he started laughing, and he was talking about Jehovah, and I was still kind of in, but out. I didn't really fully understand who Jehovah was at that time. So I thought Mikey was like this apostate demon that I was talking about Jehovah. But I could not stop watching them. It was like this information that I was getting, I was resonating so strongly with it. So I would take as much as I could and I'd back off. And I'd come back again and I'd listen some more and I'd back off. And pretty soon I was binge watching you guys. And it was on then. That journey was just cranking. Thank you for being there at that critical time for me, and hundreds of more people you have helped.
Yeah.
That you don't even realize that you've helped.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say what we always say, so many in this community that may have other agendas. They want to be the Messiah and save all the Jehovah's Witnesses. And we keep saying, we don't save anybody. You, Monica, clicked on those videos. You were the one that did it. So we would never want to take credit for that, because you have the strength, and all the others, countless number of others, they have clicked on the videos and they have listened and done the research. And so all we have done is just present the information. That's, all we've done.
And you've watched enough of our videos to have heard me state multiple times. Watchtower gets us to hold two opposing opinions. And eventually, in our minds, those opinions are going to collide. And that's what causes people to click on. That's not a ghost, that's the dogs. But it's those two opposing opinions that you're holding in your head that eventually collide, and that causes you to research it. We're just here just to present the information. People have to do with it what they will. That's all there is to that.
Exactly.
Sorry, the puppies.
But I have to give a lot of credit to you guys too, because I know that you guys have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours of research, pouring through these volumes, pouring through all these books, and not only JW books, but other books as well, collectively, to bring this information forth. And it is so appreciated. Thank you for that.
Well, You're welcome.
I clicked
You're
on the
welcome.
button, but you did the research that kind of made the way for us. You paved. You were the like the lighthouse for us.
Well, we can't take full credit because we have so many people behind the scenes that help us. And it's not like we have a team helping us out and working for us as slaves. No, people are kind enough to be doing their own research and say, hey, have you ever seen this? Or they'll send me a link, or they'll say, hey, I found this over on this forum. Just this morning, I got an email, and Atlantis has been huge in helping this entire community, not just us. But I mean, he's been doing this for 30 years, collecting everything. And this community owes him a lot. And he likes to stay a ghost. But he has helped us so much with information and Beastzilla and saving everything. I'll give you a good example of what he did. Jonas did a video yesterday about Watchtower accepting money, federal grants, from the Norwegian government lottery authority. Well, when you go to that website, it isn't just a couple of like the Bethel branch who took some of the funds and a couple of congregations or something like that. No, it was 17 pages of the search of Jehovah's Witnesses. And Atlantis took the time and effort, and he went and got all 17 pages of that to put in a PDF. And he said, give me a little bit and I'll get you that. So that's what he does, is he is a collector and an observer. And I mean, so it's so many behind the scenes, or, someone will say, hey, this Kingdom Hall went up for sale. So we can't even take all the credit for that, as we've had a lot of help.
Yeah.
So it's a collective effort. Again,
Yes.
That great apostate army, it's an army of us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And you guys,
Yes,
and Atlantis, you said his name is Atlantis? I need to check
Atlantis.
him out too.
Yeah.
Say it again.
That's a fake name. And, but he's been around for quite a while. Yeah. He likes to stay a ghost.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
I've told
keep
him.
him a ghost, but thank you. Wherever you
Yeah.
are.
Thank you, Atlantis, for all your work.
Yes.
Very much. Very much. Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would say 99% of the literature that we have access to, clear back to Russell's day, that has been scanned and on all of these websites all over the world, I would say Atlantis has scanned about 99% of those. And so he has done a tremendous amount of work. And I know here a few years ago, he asked if I had a copy of the 1984 reference Bible that he could scan, and he didn't know if he could scan it with it all together. So it was going to be destroyed and taken apart so that he could scan it. And I don't know how long it took him, but I mean, he must have put thousands of hours, because you know how thick that Bible is, and he scanned every page.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
like I said, it's just amazing the work he does. And
much appreciation.
So,
Yeah, I know this is an arrogant statement, but as much as Watchtower tries to deflect, they're not defeating the ex-members. I won't allow it. That's all there is to that. I will not allow that, because it's so simple for me now, because my whole purpose in doing all of this ultimately was to discover the mechanism that these cults, and in particular Watchtower, uses. And when I look at anything that Watchtower says, or any other Christian, any other group, I always look for the fear control. And if it's fear driven, it's not from the source. It's not from the source.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So how did you guys wake up from the cult? Was it just like
all at once?
An epiphany one day?
Yeah.
Say it again.
all at once.
All at once. We
Well, we had puzzle pieces throughout the years. even as JWs for decades, we always had problems with elders and ones in the congregation. And I like to think of it, we were getting all these little puzzle pieces, but we didn't have the picture to put the puzzle together until October of 2012, when a friend of ours came to visit. And we had known this man since 1986. We were in the same congregation in Arizona. And we did not know it at the time that he had woken up. And he came over to stay for the weekend. And he made a comment about Jesus died on a cross. And we knew him well enough that we weren't going to throw him out of our home and yell at him for being a filthy apostate. And so we started a discussion. And he says, you need to find an Imperial Bible Dictionary and get your reasoning book under cross. And look what Watchtower put the ... and see what is missing in that ... And so we found the Imperial Bible Dictionary on the archiveslibrary.com. And I still have the link to this day for anybody who wants it. But we noticed they left out a big part of the quote from the Imperial Bible Dictionary from the 1800s. And who would have thought when Watchtower was putting together the reasoning book that it would be readily available from, this book from the 1800s would be readily available in our time. And we looked at each other right at that moment and said, we're going to get disfellowship for this, aren't you? Don't you? And we just knew right at that moment that we were going to be disfellowship, because if they lied about this, what else have they lied about?
Well, see, and the thing is, the way Watchtower uses the ellipsis, it's to manufacture lies. And once we saw that in the reasoning book regarding the cross and the ellipsis, the ... it's like, well, what else have they done throughout the years with the ellipsis? So, within the first 3, 4, 5 months, everything that we saw Watchtower had written and put the ... in it, we went and found the source and realized what Watchtower was doing. And the thing is you friends will know as well as we do, you cannot claim to have God's Holy Spirit or to be God's organization on earth when you're manufacturing lies. You just can't do that. No way. So, it was just over with for us just doing that. And of course, the friends that have been watching this channel for a lot of years know that I'm a researcher. I love to research. I'm not afraid to, look at stuff that even challenges me. But once again, when I take that challenge, I always look for the fear control mechanism. And if I find a fear control mechanism, for me personally, I just call bullshit. It's just as simple as that, because I will not let fear dwell in my mind once again. I absolutely refuse to let that fear dwell.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. So have you, Mikey, have you come across many other religions up until now that you feel have this fear factor?
All of them.
Which ones have you,
Well,
all of them.
All of them. They, in one way or another, they all use fear.
Yeah.
Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. It's all fear and guilt based.
It's all fear and guilt. Yeah. When it comes to Christology, every Christian wants to accept Jesus as their savior and Jesus saved me and all of this stuff, but they overlook the illustration that Jesus uses in one of the Gospels, that when a king has been gone for a long time and that king returns, those that don't accept the king, bring those to his feet and let him be slaughtered with a sword at his feet. Now, this is Jesus using this illustration. What the hell? Why would Jesus, who is supposed to be saving all of mankind, use an illustration that says, if you don't accept the king on his return, slaughter those people? It's fear. It's control by fear. Yeah. It's just this simple.
Yeah. I noticed someone said hi to us in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome.
Mhm.
We're
And
glad you're-
I'll
ask
try
them
to temper it down as much as I can.
They have questions, go ahead
Okay.
and put them in the chat for
Just
Kim
go
and
ahead and
Mikey.
say it now and
Yeah.
I'll type it in.
Okay, yeah, and anybody that's in the chat, if you have questions for Kim and Mikey, just put it in the chat, and we'll see if we can get them to
Hopefully, we'll know the
answer some
answer.
of your burning questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. So it
Yeah.
was just at that moment that you guys realized, oh, the gig is up.
The gig, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't pretend to be sitting at Jesus's right side as one of the 144,000 in manufacturing lies. You just can't do that.
And for several weeks after, once our friend left and we started doing research, it was an aha moment. And it's very humbling and traumatic because your entire foundation is pulled out from under you. And even in my first video, my very first one, I said, I was always taught that my faith would be tested before Armageddon. And I always thought it was going to be the world or Satan and I was going to be tortured or something like that. Little did I know that it would be the very foundations that I had been raised on my entire life within this organization. And I mean, there were several nights that we were just up all night, crying. Because it's like, oh my God, we've been worshiping demons.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, big man, mountain man.
No. Don't let anybody see that.
Yes, he cried.
It was heartbreaking because your entire being of who you think you are falls right through the cracks immediately. Right through the cracks. So
absolutely,
it's a life-changing experience. But what do you do from that point? Well, how did you learn to ride a bicycle? How many times did you fall off and get back up? Multiple times. But now you're a master of the bicycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. When you do finally realize, even for me, in my core, I knew that something was wrong with this religion. It never felt right to me. But when I actually found out for sure that confirmed what was right that I felt in my gut, it was still devastating to me. That the little sliver of a hope that I did have, my dad always said, this is Jehovah's organization. Stay in the ark, Monica. And I kept thinking, it's maybe I'm doing something wrong. So maybe I'm doing something wrong and I'm missing something. But when you get that final confirmation that what you felt all along was true, it still was liberating, but at the same time, very scary because everything that I believed in, even though it was a thread, was gone. Was gone. Yeah. And it was just, I'm here. Okay, now what?
Exactly. And I think every single one of us would just be doing something normal in our lives. And then all of a sudden it pops in your head. Oh my God, what if they're right? And I think all of them.
Yeah.
Sacagawea, how do you view God now? I think my faith is stronger now. And I do believe in the source. And hopefully one day I will do a video about my journey, especially this past summer, of what our family, went through and stuff. But I do believe in a source. Our DNA alone proves that we did not evolve. I mean, the manipulation of chromosome 2 and 7, if you want to go down another rabbit hole, do the research on that. It was deliberately manipulated and spliced back together. So that wasn't evolution.
And that opens a whole nother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now if I were to answer this question, I would ask first, in what context do you want me to define my view of God? Because most everybody only has one view of God, and it comes out of that Bible. And that's not my view of God. It's as simple as that. But if you want to get down to the nuts and bolts, I do believe in a universal sovereign. That sovereignty or that source, I have to be obedient to, because he or she, whatever that entity is, however you want to describe it, put in universal laws. If I go underwater, I better have an air tank, because if I breathe that water, I'm dead. Somebody put those laws,
Yep.
some entity put those universal laws that I have to obey. That's who I want to get to know. And until then, everything else is man-driven, fear, agenda-based. The same thing applies. If you're going to be in an airplane and you think you're going to jump, you better have a parachute. You better know how to use it, because you're going down. You ain't going up. That's all there is to that. The same thing, you know, when you gather wood for a fire, you have a guarantee that wood's not going to turn into water. And the same is true when you drink a glass of water. You have a guarantee it's not going to turn into wood splinters and cut your intestines up. But that's not the God that's in the Bible, because that God in the Bible is a monster. He only wants human sacrifice, and he wants to control your life through unnecessary fear.
Yeah.
That's why I say I am a free sovereign spirit, free sovereign being.
Yeah.
And part of that
Exactly.
is we believe that if we're all part of that divine spark, that divine being, you know, I like to think of it as a quantum energy. I don't even know if it is a being, but it was the creator of this universe, and the energy went out, and energy can't ever be destroyed.
Yeah.
And the thing is if this being is pure love, well, then you start to understand more. And then you can see that these religions, they're speaking for this divine being, but it isn't really that divine love energy. And I think all of us have that spark, a part of that divine inside of us. Well, even Genesis says that man was made in God's image. So that means that part of that is inside of us. And I think it is in our heart and in our DNA.
Well, I don't know if you friends watch anything that Greg Braden has done on his YouTube channel, but what scientists are discovering, and they've known this for a little while, but it's got to get out into the ether and people have to resonate with it. But you know how the Bible says that God, and I hate using the name Jehovah, but how God puts eternity in the man's heart. Well, what scientists on the caliber of like Greg Braden, they are discovering your heart has memory cells just like your brain does. And that's what Watchtower and these religions have done, is they've destroyed that connection, that synapses between your brain and your heart. And once you realign those again, well, then you become arrogant like me and say that I'm a free sovereign spirit. I mean, you can't destroy that any longer, because that connection is solid.
Well, look at what does Watchtower do? Yeah, I wrote it. But what does Watchtower do? And I'm sure a lot of other religions do this. The heart is treacherous. Don't trust it. You know, don't go with your heart. Don't go with your gut feeling. And then, you know, you find out, wait a minute. Yeah, we should be using our heart and our guts.
That's what you should be relying on.
Yeah. My gut instinct has been serving me well for 59 years. I noticed Kaya Marie asked us, is there any area of Watchtower or the history that you hope to cover in the future? Oh my goodness.
That's a broad question.
With 2,000 videos, and someone will ask me, hey, do you remember that video you did several years ago about history, blah, blah, about this? And it's like, I don't even remember the title of it. You know, there's like 2,000 videos, and you think you cover everything. Well, like today, I uploaded it today and I haven't made it live yet, but every once in a while I will do an update on Watchtower investments and their financial stuff. Just because there's so many newbies that come out and they may not have seen my video from 3 years ago when I was covering how Watchtower,
Right.
gets that Henrietta Riley Trust Fund. They get these stocks and investments in the billions of dollars they're raking in for that. And newbies are shocked to learn about that, or their hedge funds. So I just did an update today, and hopefully, I'll make it live later tonight.
And before
Yeah.
KM Marie's question gets to the top and we miss it, I just wanted to say, KM Marie, I absolutely love what you've been doing. It's been, I just, every morning when I get up and I get done playing my PlayStation baseball game, drinking my coffee, I go on YouTube and I'm always looking to see if KM Marie has put up a new video. And I always watch those, always watch them. I just love the way she articulates her points. And you're just super fantastic, friend.
There's a lot of great YouTubers, and Monica does a lot of great stuff about spirituality and, this journey that you have done.
Well, Monica, I just want to say something for the audience. You and I have talked multiple times on the phone, and you know where I'm coming from. And when I told you my drowning story, and then I told you the goose story, what did I say? Those are two things that I cannot deny, because if I deny those, then I'm lying to myself. Can I absolutely give them, put a context to them? Right now, I can't, but I can't deny what I have personally experienced. So I relegate that to a spiritual age. When I talk about my goose and going all the way back to Egypt, that just helps me see that I'm what some people will call a very old soul. But at the same time, when you look at your DNA and you see all of these other nations, groups of people in your DNA, that just helps confirm. Oh no, that dog's smelling worse now. that just helps confirm that we're all old souls, but we're never ever taught how to capture that internal language that we all have, because religion shuts that down completely.
Yeah. Well, as an example, a couple of years ago for a birthday gift, I got myself one of those DNA tests from the genetic labs. And I was just shocked. I was shocked because, to look at me, I look like just a white European person. And come to find out, I'm like a walking UN. I think I have just about every race in me. And they were able to go back 66 generations to 300 AD and find that a relative at that time was from Peru. Yeah. And I have, DNA from Central America, the Mayans, Inca, Japanese, the East Indian, Punjabi Indians. And everything, everything is in my DNA. Wow. And I just wish some of these people who were racist would just take a DNA test and realize that we're all the same. It doesn't matter what the color of this meat suit is. We are all the same. And when you do that DNA test, it is an eye opener. Let me tell you.
Well, I'll want to add to that, because after she did that, I went ahead and sent in my DNA. Now, for me, my aunt did a family background thing, family tree, and somehow, some way, she found out that we were related to Mary Malone. Well, if you don't know who she is, she ended up being in history one of the most famous Cherokee women known. Mary Malone. So here I am, proud as a peacock. I got Indian blood in me, right? And then of course, my family heritage is supposed to be French Canadian or Italian. Well, I took that DNA test. Jeez. Boy, was I ever disappointed. I don't have one speck of Native American blood in me at all. And my son-in-law is more Italian than I am.
And he's a dark Samoan.
Yeah. So don't always believe what your family tree is supposed to be, because you take one of them DNA tests and you're going to find out, holy crap, my lineage isn't what I was told. It was a very eye-opening
you just mentioned,
experience.
Mikey, that you just mentioned in your lineage that you have Canadian, French, and Italian. So do I.
I was supposed to.
So do I.
Now, believe it or not, I have more Greek lineage in me than I have anything else. Go figure, because all my life I was told you're French Canadian, and you're related to Mary Malone, and you have Italian in you. I got more Greek in me than I have anything else.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's
you never
amazing.
know.
That's amazing.
Never know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I have a question. How are you guys, now that we've awakened, and I'm hearing more about this whole Christ consciousness concept, how do you guys relate to that? Or what's your your perception on that?
Well, my personal opinion is there were some people back at that time in the first century. There probably was a Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, John the Baptist. I personally feel like Jesus and John the Baptist may have been Essenes,
Right.
because it talks about John the Baptist coming out of the wilderness, and Jesus went to the wilderness after he was baptized. So if they were Essenes, and it's amazing to us because so many don't know who the Essenes are.
Right.
And if you do your research on the Essenes, they had a little village there at Qumran. And they were copyists, and they were strict. They believed in ritual bathing and baptism. And basically they were a cult of scribes. And they're the ones that did the Dead Sea Scrolls and then hid them away in those caves, knowing the Romans was going through the land and killing off and destroying. So, without them, we would not have the Dead Sea Scrolls. And what's interesting is that same year, a little bit before those Dead Sea Scrolls were found, in Egypt, they found the Nag Hammadi scripts. And when you start looking into those, it's just amazing. But I do believe that there were prophets and light workers back at that time, because there always seems to be some light workers. And think about what Jesus was doing. He was preaching love. He was condemning religion for what they were doing to the rank and file. So he was basically doing the same thing we are.
We're doing the same thing today. Only, we're not, and this is part of the problem when it comes to finding the Christ consciousness in the Bible, because men have taken that identity to encapsulate you and or to steal your sovereignty away from you and force that entity on you. I mean, when I did my video 5 years ago, who is Jehovah that I should obey his voice? One of the things that I pointed out, especially in view of the Trinitarian concept, if Jesus was actually God in the flesh, sitting on the Mount of Olives in Matthew chapter 5, well, if God, Jesus, was the one that gave the Mosaic law that said an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, then that would have stood all the way through Jesus's day. But what do we see him doing? He said, you heard it was said an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I tell you, that's two separate entities right there. I tell you, return evil to evil to no one. That's the real Christ consciousness.
Love.
Because we're doing the
Yes,
same thing today. We can hear Watchtower absolutely destroy their own theology, and we're there just to pick it up. Just like the video we did yesterday when that one guy on the morning worship said that, before Adam and Eve sinned, it was Jesus talking to them. Wait, what? Wait, what? Yeah, they're changing their identity, and it's so simple to see. But when it comes to the Christ consciousness, aren't we doing the same thing? Are we not pointing the finger at Watchtower leadership and saying, you people are evil? That's all that man did, or any man could have done that. When you look at all of the prophets in the Bible, especially the minor prophets, with a very careful reading, you can see it in the book of Amos. Amos, when he's talking about the bad kings in Israel, he actually puts David in that list of bad kings. Like David, they sit around all day making music and drinking wine out of a bowl. So why is that prophet of Jehovah allegedly bad-mouthing David? But see, you're never going to catch that if you don't do careful research and careful study. So whoever that prophet was destroying what the Israelites, or what a group of Israelites had done to elevate David to this godlike status. And he just doesn't have it. So we're all doing the same thing today. We're all doing it.
Yeah. Do you think Yeshua, this man, do you think that he's in power right now? Is he what's his role right now? He's of course he's ascended. So what do you think his role is?
To give you the authority that religion has stolen from you. Remember, the Bible says in one of the Psalms, or wherever it is, that God has given the earth to the sons of earthly man. Why do we relegate what is within our authority to fix to some invisible creature? Why do we do that? Because religions want you to do that, and then they take that place.
My humble opinion, see, we don't always believe the same thing.
Okay.
My personal opinion is that when that light worker died, he went back to the divine realm, that source where he had originally come from. And he is probably overseeing what is going on earth now. He's probably observing. But as far as ruling, I just don't get, I just don't see how they could be ruling over mankind. I think they're trying to figure out how to fix the problem. I no longer believe in the Watchtower Armageddon.
Oh, hell no.
That Jesus, Jesus is going to come down on the clouds and come again. Well, he can't come again because we know what the world would do if they find out anybody is Jesus, or what are they going to do if they find out, oh, this person is Jesus?
They're going to kill him again.
Yeah.
They're they're going to kill him again, or anybody that's doing what we're doing. I mean, look at the article that Watchtower wrote several years ago. If it wasn't for the laws in the lands, we would stone apostates. So they're telling you right there what they would do with any perceived Messiah coming down to rescue humans. No, that's in our realm. We have the ability to do that ourselves.
See, and think about it. If a person came down and said, I came from the divine realm and I can do this, I can raise people from the dead, they would either want to make a god out of them here on earth or kill them. So, I just don't see how he could come back. I think he has given work for all of the light workers. And I think many of us have volunteered to do this. I know we have volunteered to do this.
Well, I think you sent Monica our QHHT session.
Well, I wasn't going to mention.
So Monica, you know the depth of what we're actually
Yes.
getting at right here, don't you, sweetie? You
Well,
actually know the depth.
absolutely.
Well, now that you have brought it up, I'm not going to get.
Another show.
Yes, it
Yeah.
actually is. Yes.
Yeah. But, I'm not going to get deep into it, but I'm just going to say, for those of you who don't know about the QHHT hypnosis therapy sessions, they're amazing because if they can get you under, she wasn't able to
No.
get him under deep.
I have too much control.
But if they can get you under
That was me
deep,
too.
yeah. During my session, all I remember is the very last thing is the therapist had me floating on a cloud and relaxed. And she was saying, now come down. You're going down on your cloud. And the last thing I remember was I said, no, it's going up. And I physically fell asleep. I woke up and I started apologizing to the therapist. And I said, I'm so sorry. I must have been more tired than I thought I was. And she says, how long do you think you were out? And I said, about 20 minutes. And she says, you've been talking to me for 2.5 hours. And I was shocked. And of course, she recorded the whole session. And hopefully, we'll talk about some of this. But the thing is a lot of these QHHT therapists, they get into past life regressions. And she kept asking me, about past lives. And I kept telling her, I've never been on Earth before in a physical body. This is my first time in a physical body on Earth. So, and all I'm going to leave it at that is that I volunteered to come here as a light worker to help. And it was amazing. It was difficult trying to come to terms with everything that came out in my session. Cause I'm like, where in the world did this come from?
Tell her about the Schumann resonance, because
I can talk about this.
Because this actually gets freaky.
Yeah, this was really freaky, and I can share this part. So during my session, my physical body is asleep. I was not conscious of anything I was saying or doing. In the recording, and she told me afterwards, she says, you really scared me, because she says, you started convulsing. And I said, what do you mean convulsing? And she says, your whole body was shaking like this. And I said, what the heck was going on? And she says, well, you'll hear it in the recording when I send it to you. But she said, you said, because she was asking me, are you okay? What's the matter? And I said, I'm getting hit with an energy blast. And she says, well, where is it coming from? And I said, I was looking around and I said, well, I'm trying to see where it came from. Was it from Earth? And then I say, no, it came from space. And it was really freaky when she was telling me this, and it freaked her out. I mean, she thought I was going into convulsions or seizures or something. And what was interesting is she sent me the recording the next day, and she sent me a screenshot.
Well, qualify it just a little bit better, because I'm in the waiting room reading.
Well, I was going to let you tell that story.
Oh, well, it's all part of the same. I don't get headaches. And at that time, I was like getting a massive headache. I was like, holy crap. So then I look out the window and there's a cell tower right there. So I just naturally relegated that headache to being close to that cell tower for so long. Now I'm going to let her finish the story, because this is, I don't believe in coincidences.
So he didn't even say anything until the next day, when the therapist had sent me my recording, and she sent me a screenshot from the Schumann resonance graph. Now, for those of you that don't know, they run this Schumann electromagnetic graph 24/7. It's on Twitter. You can go do a Google search and you can watch this graph of electromagnetic energy or blast hitting the earth at any time, 24/7.
Sometimes the spikes are high, sometimes the spikes are low. So put that into the context.
Yeah. So she says, you weren't crazy. Look at the Schumann resonance for that time. And it was about 2:30 in the afternoon. She says, look at that. It was spiking clear up into the red.
And that's when I was experiencing the headache.
Headaches.
So what she was feeling under this hypnotic state, I was feeling it sitting in the waiting room. It's like, holy crap. So there again, Monica, there are things that I can't deny. I just can't. And when she gets done, I'll give you all another experience.
Yeah. Well, someone was asking what the name of that therapy again. It's QHHT. It's quantum healing. And you can go online and get licensed, registered therapists. But, and what's interesting is I was telling my daughter this, and she's like, oh my God, Mom. She says, I was going home from work at that time. And she says, I was so dizzy and had a pounding headache that I was almost sick, like I was going to throw up. So there was something. And I've been watching the Schumann resonance. And I mean, it's been spiking. It's been spiking pretty good lately.
Yeah. Now, I know this is going to sound weird, but this is what happened to us, maybe about a month ago or so. And we mentioned we were going to put it in the video, but hey, we'll just do it right here.
No, we're not crazy. Well,
no,
maybe we are.
Yeah, of course I'm crazy. That's the way I can get away with the crap that I actually get away with. So anyhow, about a month ago, Kim is on the phone with Shyla. They have a conversation every morning while Shyla's driving to work. So Kim is explaining to my daughter the dream she had the previous night. And what that dream is that Kim was rescuing Shyla from a massive invasion of rattlesnakes, and she was pushing Shyla up the ladder while Kim is trying to get up the ladder.
But I've got a little stick fighting off the snakes.
To get away from the snakes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, wait for it. That when I heard Kim say that, it's like, OMG. That same night, I had a dream with me coming down that ladder with a machete fighting off those rattlesnakes. Now you tell me, how in the world did two people have a similar dream like that in one house on the same night? I can't explain that. But when she was explaining her dream to Shyla, I was getting goosebumps because I actually dreamed me coming down that ladder fighting off those rattlesnakes. It's like, I can't deny that stuff.
High empath lady.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Say it again.
my thing is I think the more that we resonate up here and be willing to accept who we are as human beings, the more that we're going to experience these things. And I don't think that anybody should relegate this to the woo-woo boogeyman stuff, because religion, government, all of those entities have stolen our identities from us. I honestly believe that.
Yes.
Yeah. And just like now, I've been getting into meditation now and, a lot of that stuff. And there's just some things that have come up that I just can't explain. And even in my therapy session, I talk about things that I knew about before they happened. And even as a JW, I would call it women's intuition or gut instinct, because you can't say what you really think it is, especially when you have a regular pioneer ministerial servant husband who thinks you're a little bonkers anyway.
You're in touch with the demons, dear.
But there were people in the congregation that gave me the heebie-jeebies. And somewhere in our book study, and I said, I don't trust this man. He gives me the heebie-jeebies. Well, Mike learned to trust my instincts because there was 3 of them that gave me the heebie-jeebies, and every single one of them turned out to be a pervo.
Yeah.
In the congregation.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You felt their energy, Kim. You felt their energy.
Yeah. And I've learned to trust that. And that's why I say trust your heart and your gut instinct, because I'm learning that is a part of us. And we need to trust that more and listen to our higher self. That's our higher self trying to talk to us.
See, now I haven't developed that to the extent that Kim has. And I think that that's a reason, because she actually compliments, or she's a compliment when she can do that. And then I can, then I learn from her. Whereas me, my sense of feeling is all right up here, not so much right here as it is with her. Although, there are a lot of things that I can feel and process through my heart. But that's where the divine male and the divine feminine can actually complement each other. And once again, I know I'm beating a dead horse. Man's religion has gone out of their way to destroy the divine feminine. And that's why we can't get along, because that has been destroyed. And I'm glad to see so many people now being willing to at least explore who and what the divine feminine actually is.
Yeah.
Well, Monica's been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and there again,
and
I did this.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and even in the Bible, when you get the scriptures in Revelation, it talks about that marriage between the bride and the bridegroom, and then Watchtower paints a picture. Who is the one that's given the blessings to mankind? It's the bride. It's the divine feminine. And I've said this before, until the male ego can accept the divine feminine as an absolute equal and a companion, mankind is, we're just screwed. So I'm kind of glad to see a lot of that coming back now, to where hopefully a lot of men will begin to rein in that male Abrahamic ego.
Absolutely. It's time for the balance. The balance is needed between that divine feminine and that the masculine. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry to announce that I'm losing power. Something is wrong with my power cord, and it looks like we're going to lose power pretty soon. Yeah, because
if we lose you, this has been great.
Yeah. And I want to thank you guys so much, guys. And I'm having to quickly close it out because I don't want to lose you guys in mid-sentence. But thank you so much for joining us, guys, in the chat. Thank you so much for being here as well with your questions. I won't be able to say hello to everybody tonight, but thank you so much, guys, for coming. I really appreciate it. One final word from you guys before you go.
Love and light, sister. Love and light. Don't be brave. Do something.
Yeah. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, Monica and Cynthia, for inviting us and having us. And we'll just have to do this again.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. We love you. And
we love you too, friends.
Love and light.
Bye. Yes.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye. Yeah, she was losing her. Goodness.